how the sea became salt. It is related that Frey once received from hengi-kiaptr a pair of magic millstones, called grody, which were so ponderous that none of his servants nor even his strongest warriors could turn them. The king was aware that the mill was enchanted and would grind anything he wished, so he was very anxious indeed to set it to work. And, during a visit to Sweden, he saw and purchased as slaves the two giantesses, Helene and Fennia, whose powerful muscles and frames had attracted his attention. On his return home, Peace Frey left his new servants to the mill, and bade them turn the grindstones and grind out gold, peace, and prosperity, and they immediately fulfilled his wishes. Cheerfully the women worked on, hour after hour, until the king's coffers were overflowing with gold, and prosperity and peace were rife throughout his land. Let us grind riches to Frothy, let us grind him happy, in plenty of substance, in our gladdening quern. Svanger Longfellow's translation. But when Helene and Fennia would fain have rested a while, the king, whose greed had been excited, bade them work on. In spite of their entreaties, he forced them to labor, hour after hour, allowing them only as much time to rest as was required for the singing of a verse and song. Until, exasperated by his cruelty, the giantesses resolved at length to have revenge. One night, while Frey slept, they changed their song, and, instead of prosperity and peace, they grimly began to grind an armed host, whereby they induced the Viking Messingner to land with a large body of troops. While the spell was working, the Danes continued in slumber, and thus they were completely surprised by the Viking host, who slew them all. An army must come hither forthwith and burn the town for the prince. Svanger Longfellow's translation. Messinger took the magic millstones grody and the two slaves and put them on board his vessel, bidding the women grind salt, which was a very valuable staple of commerce at that time. The women obeyed, and their millstones went round, grinding salt in abundance. But the Viking, as cruel as Frey, would give the poor women no rest, wherefore a heavy punishment overtook him and his followers. Such an immense quantity of salt was ground by the magic millstones that, in the end, its weight sunk the ship and all aboard. The ponderous stones sank into the sea in the Pentland Firth, or off the northwestern coast of Norway, making a deep, round hole. And the waters, rushing into the vortex and gurgling in the holes in the center of the stones, produced the great whirlpool which is known as the maelstrom. As for the salt, it soon melted, but such was the immense quantity ground by the giantesses that it permeated all the waters of the sea, which have ever since been very salt. So that was how the sea became salt. The final section of Chapter 9 of Myths of the Norsemen by Helene A Guerber, Frey. I will be working my way through this book section by section, and if there are any other public domain books that you would like for me to read, please leave a comment below. Did you enjoy this video? Then subscribe for more, and be sure to check me out on Facebook and Patreon. Thank you for listening, and have a lovely evening.